The human ship floated silently through the dark expanse of space, small and fragile compared to the massive alien vessels that patrolled the area. Commander Elena Hayes stood at the bridge, her eyes fixed on the glowing blue horizon of the Valerian system. The mission was simple, at least on paper. Make contact with the Alien Council, offer peace, and learn their ways. But simple was never what space demanded. The aliens were waiting. Tall, multi-limbed creatures with shimmering skin that reflected the stars, they regarded the humans with what seemed like amusement. Their leader, a being called Krylath, spoke in a voice that vibrated in the minds of everyone aboard the human ship. Humans, you come across the void to offer peace. We laugh at your boldness. You are weak, fragile. Why do you bother? Elena's hands tightened on the railing. She did not respond with anger or fear. Humans had learned long ago that showing fear was dangerous. Instead, she simply nodded. We do not seek war. We seek understanding. Krylatha's laughter echoed through the council chamber, a sound like breaking glass. Understanding? From the species that barely escaped its own planet's limits. He leaned forward. Show us why we should care about you. Before Elena could respond, the ship's sensors picked up a sudden emergency. A Valerian supply vessel, caught in a violent cosmic storm, was being torn apart by electrical currents and gravitational waves. Dozens of the aliens aboard screamed as their communications failed. The council watched, unmoving, expecting humans to hesitate. But humans never hesitated when action was needed. Elena tapped her console, and the ship shuddered as it accelerated toward the storm. Crew members worked in perfect synchronization, calculating trajectories and energy flows. Within moments, a daring plan formed. They would deploy a shielded pod to intercept the supply vessel and stabilize it long enough for the storm to pass. Time stretched as they moved closer. Lightning-like energy arcs danced across the void, tearing chunks of metal from the supply ship. The Valerians gasped, some yelling orders that went unheard over the storm. Elena's voice was calm, precise. Prepare the pod. Deploy on my mark. Now. The pod shot forward, glowing with energy as it attached to the supply vessel. Its shields absorbed the worst of the storm's fury, and for a heart-stopping moment, it seemed the pod would fail. But then, the vessel began to stabilize. Slowly, the crew inside stopped screaming. The storm passed. Silence returned, except for the hum of the pod's energy field. The aliens stared at the humans in disbelief. How? Krylatha's voice was almost a whisper. How did you do this? Elena did not gloat. She simply responded, we act when others hesitate. That is all. Murmurs spread among the council. The humans had done something no other species had dared. They had risked their lives for others, even for those who had laughed at them. The realization hit slowly. These humans were not as weak as they appeared. They were unpredictable, dangerous in ways the galaxy had never seen. As the humans returned to their ship, Krylath watched silently. His mind raced with calculations and doubts. The council would remember this day. Perhaps they would underestimate humans no longer. Or perhaps they would fear them. Elena turned to her crew. This is only the beginning. Observe, learn, and be ready. The galaxy will take notice of what we do next. The crew nodded, a mix of pride and tension in their expressions. They had succeeded, yes, but the mission had revealed something greater. Humanity had a quiet power that could not be measured by size, weapons, or numbers. The strength of humans was in their courage, their intelligence, and their willingness to act when others failed. Back on the bridge, sensors detected whispers across the galaxy. Alien communications, once dismissive, now carried notes of caution. Some spoke in fear, others in curiosity, but all acknowledged one undeniable truth. Humans had returned the favor, and the consequences were only beginning. Elena watched the stars streak past as their ship moved toward the outer systems. Somewhere out there, civilizations that had never considered humans as anything more than fragile lifeforms were reconsidering. She allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Humans had made their first mark on the galaxy, quietly, without boasting, without violence. But the galaxy would remember. And somewhere, in the silent corridors of the alien council chambers, Krylath sat, his eyes glowing faintly as he repeated the humans' words. They act when others hesitate. Yes, yes, they are dangerous. Far more dangerous than we imagined. The stars continued their silent journey across space, unaware of the quiet ripple that humans had just set in motion. The humans returned to Earth quietly, but news of their actions spread faster than any human could imagine. Across the galaxy, alien species whispered about the small, fragile humans who had dared to save a Valerian ship from a storm that would have destroyed even the most advanced vessels. Some admired them. Others feared them. Weeks later, a message arrived on Earth. It was not friendly. A holographic projection appeared in the United Nations Space Command headquarters. It was the Alien Council, and their leader, Krylath, looked more serious than before. "Humans," he said, his voice cold but controlled. "Your actions have reached ears that should not have heard them. You interfere where you should not. The galaxy watches you. Some wish to challenge your existence. Others wish to test your worth." Elena stood at the bridge of Earth's orbital station, watching the projection carefully. "We do not seek trouble," she said. "We only act when others need help. That is our way." Krylath's eyes narrowed. "Your way is dangerous. The galaxy has rules. You break them without knowing. Therefore, you must show your true value. You will face the Council's challenges. You will prove that humanity can survive in this wider galaxy. Or you will be removed from it." The room fell silent. The weight of the words pressed down on the humans. Removal from the galaxy was no empty threat. Some alien species had disappeared, quietly erased because they failed the Council's judgment. Yet, humans had never known fear the way aliens expected. Elena nodded. "We accept your challenge. Tell us the terms." Krylath's expression was unreadable. "The tests will be many. They will measure your intelligence, courage, and wisdom. You will face situations where failure may cost lives. You may leave if you survive, but you must succeed or pay the price." Even the crew felt tension in the air. Humans were brave, but these tests were unknown. No human had ever faced something designed by alien minds for the purpose of judging survival. The first test was revealed hours later, a journey to a system filled with unstable stars where a vital energy core had gone missing. This core powered the life support of a nearby planet. If it was not recovered, millions would die. No alien could enter safely. The gravitational forces and radiation were deadly. Elena studied the maps carefully. "We can do this. Not because we are the strongest, but because we think differently. We see patterns they may not expect." Her crew prepared their ship, running simulations, checking every system, and making contingency plans. The humans entered the storm system, their ship moving with careful precision. Waves of radiation hit the shields, warning alarms blared, but the humans worked together calmly. They identified the core's location hidden inside a fragmenting asteroid field. It was too dangerous for brute force. They would have to use strategy. Using magnetic grapples and coordinated maneuvers, the crew worked to extract the core. Asteroids threatened to collide at any second, and space itself seemed against them. Elena's voice was steady. "Hold formation. Wait for the right moment." At the last second, the team executed the plan perfectly. The core was secured, stabilized, and transported to the planet's orbit. Energy returned to the planet. Life support resumed. Millions were saved. Back in the Council's chambers, whispers filled the air. "Humans, they survived," said one alien. Another shook their head. "They do things no one expects. This is remarkable." Krylath leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Remarkable indeed. But this is only the beginning. Their true test has not yet begun." Elena looked at her crew. No one cheered or celebrated yet. They understood the weight of the challenge ahead. The galaxy had noticed them, and not all of it would welcome humans with open arms. For the first time, humans realized that being underestimated was both a danger and an advantage. They were small, fragile in the eyes of others, yet they had skills, intelligence, and courage that no alien could predict. And somewhere, across the infinite darkness of space, species that had laughed at humans now whispered warnings. Humanity had returned the favor, but the galaxy had yet to understand what that really meant. The human ship moved slowly through the unstable star system. Warnings blinked across the control panels as gravitational waves twisted and bent space around them. The crew worked in perfect synchronization, their eyes scanning every sensor for the hidden dangers that no alien had survived. Elena stood at the bridge, calm but alert. Remember, we are not strong like them. Our strength is thinking. Observe, calculate, and act. That is how we survive. The first obstacle appeared suddenly. A massive asteroid, glowing from radiation, hurtled toward them at impossible speed. Alarms screamed. The crew had only seconds to react. Using magnetic grapples and thrusters, they pushed the asteroid off course, narrowly avoiding a collision. Heartbeats later, another wave of debris approached, twisting unpredictably through space. Meanwhile, sensors picked up the energy core's location. It was lodged deep inside a fractured asteroid belt, spinning slowly but dangerously. Any mistake could crush the core, or worse, destroy their ship. The aliens watching through long-range surveillance were certain humans would fail. Elena tapped the controls, voice steady. Pod ready. Deploy carefully. Follow my lead. A small shielded pod detached from the ship, carrying 2 crew members toward the core. They weaved through asteroids, the shields absorbing minor impacts. The pod rocked violently, but the humans inside stayed calm, using every ounce of knowledge and precision. Suddenly, an asteroid shifted unpredictably, blocking the pod's path. One wrong move, and the core would be lost. Elena's hands moved quickly, giving instructions. Reverse thrusters. Rotate left. Now, grab the core. The crew followed perfectly. The pod's grapples latched onto the energy core. Slowly, carefully, they pulled it free. A miscalculation could have meant instant disaster, but the humans' planning and teamwork paid off. The core was secured. Back on the ship, cheers were silent but strong. Elena exhaled. Good work. But remember, this is just the first step. The galaxy is watching. The aliens observing from their massive vessels could not hide their shock. Impossible, one said quietly. No species should survive this system alive. Krylatha's glowing eyes narrowed. Humans, they are unpredictable. Too clever. This is troubling. As the humans returned the core to the planet's orbit, energy began flowing back to the world below. Cities that had been failing flickered to life. Millions of lives were saved. Yet, humans did not celebrate loudly. They understood that the galaxy would not wait to judge their next move. Elena spoke to her crew, her tone firm. Every action has a consequence. We did well today, but the council is far from finished. They will test us again. And next time, it may not be just survival. They may test our choices, our morals. The crew nodded, understanding the weight of their mission. They had survived the first trial through intelligence and courage. The galaxy had taken notice, but the true measure of humanity was yet to come. And somewhere in the alien council chambers, Krylath leaned back, his voice quiet but filled with concern. Humans, they are not weak. They think, they act, they survive. We must consider carefully. The galaxy has underestimated them, and that is dangerous. Far away, in the silent darkness of space, the human ship moved on. Each star they passed seemed indifferent, yet the ripple of their actions was spreading through the galaxy. The first test had been survived, but the real challenges, the ones that would define humanity's place among the stars, were still ahead. And as the ship's engines hummed softly, the crew felt a quiet determination. They were humans. They acted when others hesitated. and the galaxy would soon learn that their courage was only the beginning. After surviving the deadly star system, the humans returned to orbit above the planet they had saved. Relief was quiet among the crew. They had succeeded, yes, but the Council's warning still echoed. This was only the beginning. Soon, a new message arrived. Elena activated the projection. The alien council's forms shimmered, more serious than before. "Humans," Krylatha's voice resonated, "you have proven your survival skills. But survival alone is not enough. The next test will examine your judgment and wisdom. You will mediate a conflict that has lasted centuries." Elena's eyebrows lifted. A conflict? Between whom? Between the KRYTH and the Veil. Two neighboring systems. They fight over a rare mineral that powers their life support. Years of war have destroyed planets, and neither side will yield. You must find a solution, or billions will die. The humans studied the data. The conflict was ancient, brutal, and complex. Aliens had fought for generations, yet no compromise had succeeded. Humans had no army here. Their strength lay in thought, in negotiation, in understanding. Elena gathered her team. "We cannot force them to stop. We cannot threaten them. But we can offer a solution they may not see. Listen carefully, understand their needs, and act with fairness." The human delegation traveled to the contested system. Warships and fortresses surrounded them, weapons trained on their small ship. Yet Elena remained calm. She knew fear would achieve nothing. She sent messages of peace, offering dialogue instead of weapons. The first meeting was tense. The KRYTH and Veil representatives glared at each other, voices sharp, threatening. Elena spoke slowly. "We are not here to take sides. We only wish to help you see that continuing this war will destroy both of your peoples. There is another way." Hours passed. Humans listened to complaints, fears, and histories that spanned generations. They asked questions, encouraged dialogue, and proposed small compromises. They suggested joint operations to share the mineral, offered technical solutions to increase production safely, and promised a system of monitoring to prevent cheating. For the first time, both sides considered peace. Suspicion lingered, but humans had planted a seed of trust. Slowly, the KRYTH and Veil agreed to a trial period, an experiment in cooperation. It was fragile, uncertain, and risky, but it was enough. The humans left the system quietly, their mission complete. Life across the contested worlds did not explode in celebration, but the war had stopped, for now. A fragile balance had been restored. Back in the council chambers, whispers filled the air. "How did they do it?" one alien asked. "No one has ever stopped this war. They are clever. Far more clever than we imagined." Krylatha's glowing eyes narrowed. "Clever, yes. But more than clever. They understand morality, fairness, and patience. Traits the galaxy has forgotten. Humans, they are dangerous in ways we cannot measure." Elena looked at her crew. This was not about proving power. It was about understanding. "We survive not because we dominate, but because we think, care, and act wisely. Remember this. The next tests will challenge not only our skills but our choices." The crew nodded, realizing that intelligence and morality were their greatest weapons. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Humans were not just survivors. They were problem solvers, peacemakers, and thinkers, species to be noticed, perhaps feared. As the ship moved on to new systems, Elena allowed herself a quiet thought. Humanity had taken another step into the galaxy, not with weapons or dominance, but with patience, courage, and wisdom. And yet, the true challenge, the one that would reveal the galaxy's reaction to humans, was still ahead. Somewhere, far beyond human reach, alien factions debated their next moves. "They think differently," one said. "They act differently. If we underestimate them again, it may be catastrophic." And in the quiet hum of the human ship, Elena smiled faintly. Humans did not boast. They did not threaten. They simply acted. And the galaxy had begun to take notice. Weeks passed after the diplomatic success. The humans returned to their ship in quiet satisfaction, knowing they had saved lives without firing a weapon. Yet, across the galaxy, the whispers grew louder. Aliens who had once dismissed humanity now spoke with unease, as if realizing too late that they had underestimated humans. Then came the revelation. Humanity had not only acted in the crises the Council watched, they had quietly helped countless civilizations across the galaxy. Old messages, hidden satellites, and secret interventions revealed a startling truth. Humans had been solving problems, repairing failing worlds, and saving countless lives, long before the Council noticed. Elena gathered her crew. They are discovering what we've done quietly. They will be shocked. Some will fear us. Some will admire us. But the galaxy will understand that humanity cannot be ignored. The humans prepared to present themselves again to the Council. When the projection appeared, Krylatha's glowing eyes widened slightly. Humans, you have been meddling across the galaxy? Secretly. His voice held a mix of shock and irritation. You have interfered in systems we thought were stable, helped species we thought were beyond saving. How is this possible? Elena remained calm. We act when others hesitate. We do not seek power or dominance. We only act to help those who cannot save themselves. The Council murmured among themselves, the whispers sharp and tense. Aliens realized they had underestimated humanity for centuries. They had assumed humans were weak, fragile, and unprepared for the wider galaxy. Yet, humans had quietly become a force that could not be ignored. Some factions grew fearful. If they have helped so many without confrontation, what else are they capable of? One asked. Others were impressed. They are not violent, but clever, resourceful, and determined. They are unlike any species we have encountered. Krylath leaned forward, his expression stern. Humans, you have revealed your true impact. The galaxy sees now that underestimating you was a mistake. We must reconsider how we interact with your species. Elena nodded. We do not wish to dominate. We do not wish to rule. But we will act when action is needed. That is all. The aliens could not argue. They had been confronted not by weapons or armies, but by intelligence, morality, and courage. Humans had quietly altered the balance of power in the galaxy, and the realization sent shockwaves through the Council. Elena looked at her crew, proud but cautious. This is the turning point. The galaxy now knows that we are more than they assumed. But with attention comes danger. We must continue to act wisely. In the shadows of distant star systems, alien observers whispered warnings to one another. The humans, they are clever. They act without threat, without weapons, yet their influence spreads like wildfire. We underestimated them for too long. And on the human ship, the crew worked in silence. They did not boast or celebrate. They understood that the galaxy had only just begun to notice humanity's presence. Their quiet interventions had revealed a power no one had expected, a power born of courage, wisdom, and the willingness to act when others failed. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Humans had returned the favor to countless civilizations, not for reward or recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. And now, the galaxy had realized a truth it could not ignore. Humans were no longer to be underestimated. Somewhere, deep in the alien council chambers, Krylath muttered quietly, almost to himself, "It was a mistake. We should never have assumed humanity was weak." The humans' quiet actions had stirred the galaxy, but Elena knew the real test was still ahead. Alien factions were watching closely now, some with admiration, others with fear. Humanity's influence had grown without firing a single shot, and the Council's unease was clear. A new message arrived on Earth's orbital station. The projection flickered, revealing Krylath once more. Humans, you have proven your strength in ways we did not anticipate. You have helped others, saved worlds, and outperformed expectations. But the galaxy grows uneasy. Some demand containment. Others consider preemptive strikes. Your actions have consequences. Elena stood firm. We act to protect, not to dominate. But if threats arise, we will respond. That is the nature of humanity. We do not seek conflict, but we will defend what is right. Krylatha's eyes glowed brighter. Consider this a warning. The galaxy will test your resolve. Some factions may act against you. Others will seek alliance. Choose wisely, humans, for your next moves will echo across the stars. The crew gathered in the strategy room, tense but composed. They fear us now, Elena said quietly. Not because we are violent, but because we are capable, intelligent, and willing to act. Fear is a powerful response. It will shape how the galaxy interacts with us. Reports came in quickly. Alien warships began shifting positions, some building alliances, others preparing defenses. Rumors spread across systems. Humans were no longer a minor species. They were a force to be considered, respected, or feared. Elena studied the reports. We do not need to strike first. Our power lies in our restraint. But we must show we are ready if needed. Humanity will not be pushed aside. We will act, but carefully, wisely, and justly. The humans issued a message across the galaxy. Calm, firm, and clear, we do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we will act when others hesitate. Protecting life, solving crises, and making fair decisions are the ways we survive. The galaxy will learn that humanity's strength is not in weapons, but in courage, intelligence, and morality. Silence followed. Across countless star systems, aliens whispered and debated. Some admired the humans' restraint. Others feared what they had already done and what they might do next. The galaxy had taken notice, too late for those who had assumed humanity was weak. Krylath observed quietly in the council chambers. His eyes were sharp, calculating. They do not boast. They do not threaten. And yet, they have shifted the balance of the galaxy without aggression. This is dangerous, far more dangerous than we imagined. Elena watched the stars from the bridge of her ship, calm but aware. Humans had returned the favor countless times. Now, the galaxy was realizing what that really meant. The quiet actions of humanity had altered the course of civilizations, and the consequences were only beginning. Somewhere in the darkness of space, alien factions prepared, debated, and planned. They could no longer dismiss humans. They could no longer assume weakness. And humans, as always, moved forward with careful precision, knowing their greatest weapon was not fear or force, but action, morality, and courage. The ripple of humanity's influence spread quietly but steadily. The galaxy had learned a vital lesson. The species it had overlooked for so long was now in control of its own destiny. And the moment of reckoning, when the galaxy truly understood the power of humans, was drawing near. The galaxy was tense. Alien factions shifted fleets, prepared strategies, and whispered warnings. They had realized too late that humans were not weak. Humanity's quiet interventions, clever actions, and moral choices had altered the balance of power. Elena stood on the bridge of the human ship, watching the stars streak past. "This is it," she said softly. "The galaxy is paying attention. Now they will understand the full measure of humanity." The humans moved to reveal their final act. They had quietly helped species survive deadly threats across multiple star systems, repairing failing planets, restoring energy grids, and even averting natural disasters. For centuries, humans had returned favors to those in need, unseen and unheralded. Now, the evidence was undeniable, broadcast across council networks for all to witness. Krylath and the council watched in stunned silence. Their whispers turned into panic. They have saved millions across the galaxy," one alien said. "Without weapons. Without armies. They are everywhere, and they act wisely." Elena's voice echoed calmly across the projection. "Humans do not seek war or dominance. We act when others hesitate. We help because it is right, and we solve problems because we can. That is our nature. Some alien factions tried to challenge humanity, arguing that this unseen influence was dangerous. Others, however, could not deny the truth. Humans had quietly become a force that no one could ignore. The galaxy had realized a painful fact: underestimating humanity had been a mistake. Krylatha's glowing eyes reflected shock and awe. They did not threaten, yet they are unstoppable. They did not boast, yet the galaxy listens. We misjudged them completely. Elena turned to her crew. We do not boast. We do not seek control. But the galaxy must understand one truth: humans act when it matters, and that will never change. Whispers turned into widespread acknowledgement. The species that had laughed at humanity, that had dismissed them as fragile, could no longer do so. Humans had returned the favor countless times, and the galaxy now knew the cost of underestimation. Far away, alien leaders debated quietly. Fear, respect, and awe mixed together. They understood that humanity's power was different. It was not raw strength, but intelligence, courage, and morality in action. The human ship continued its journey across the stars, silent but resolute. No victories were celebrated with fanfare. No threats were issued. Humanity had returned favors, acted with wisdom, and shown the galaxy what true power looked like, without ever raising a weapon. Krylath finally whispered, almost to himself. It was a mistake. The galaxy should never have assumed humanity was weak. They have changed everything. And in the quiet hum of their ship, Elena smiled faintly. Humans had acted when others hesitated, saved countless lives, and reminded the galaxy of a lesson it would never forget. Underestimate humans, and you do so at your own peril. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, silent witnesses to a species that had quietly returned the favor, and forever changed the galaxy.